All right, thank you everyone for coming this morning. We've convened this press conference to talk about a very important issue that's happening here at Founders Square. My name is Darius Mirshahi. I am with the Justice for Janitors movement and SEIU Local 2. We represent the cleaners at this building, and we're here to support them in their struggle to retain their jobs here at this building. When we found out that layoff notices were served and that the contract was changing hands, we immediately went and talked to the workers and asked what had been told to them, if anyone was being offered a job. And we found out very quickly that the only person that the Armour Group and Deep Down have committed to rehiring is the only member of ours that is a non-supervisory white worker here. And we found out that all of the other non-supervisory workers are of African descent. And we had talks about this. Workers decided that they wanted to fight to keep their jobs, and they thought that this was an issue they wanted to take up with the Human Rights Commission because of racial discrimination, which is what is being put in the complaint that's being filed at the commission. So we've started the process of filing this complaint together, all of us. We started it earlier this week, and that process is going to be ongoing. I think it's important that we center the voices of the workers here today, so we're going to have some of the workers speak for themselves. Afterwards, we have renowned community activists Lynn Jones and Elle Jones here to speak, as well as the leader of the NDP, Gary Burrow, and other community allies that are here to announce that we are not going to let this be brushed under the rug. We are going to stand in solidarity with these workers, and we're going to demand that they are afforded the same decency and dignity and respect as their colleague that is white. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to pass it to Taylor.
Hello, my name is Taylor McLean. I'm not really good at speaking into a mic because it makes my voice way louder than it needs to be. Although I feel like this is a time where my voice needs to be heard because like you're growing up in Nova Scotia that has predominantly very rich history with black Nova Scotians, black villas, and then you have a lot of immigrants from Africa who are standing here with me today. And like you said, like it is shameful that you can go out of your way to save somebody's job and have that one person be a white person. But like all the people that do a lot of the heavy lifting here in the night shift, all the things that you can't do in the day shift are of African descent, visible minorities, and thank you. And it's like I said, it's just shameful. Like, you do your best, and all you want to do is be treated with respect and fairly, and that's all we're here for today. It's not as much as you want to shame people for doing the wrong thing. At the end of the day, all you really want, all you're really talking about is the same sort of respect that you would give everybody else. Like I try to give everybody the respect no matter what their race or color is, and I'm just asking that the Armour Group and Deep Down Cleaning respect me the way I would respect them. And that's all it really comes down to. And I think that's all that I have to say.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Well, let's say this as an introduction. The workers united shall never be defeated.
The workers united shall never be defeated.
The workers united shall never be defeated.
The workers united shall never be defeated. The workers united shall never be defeated.
Thank you very much, everybody. We extend very gratitude to the media that have come here to extend solidarity to us, and we extend similar sentiments to our brothers Tony from the Nova Scotia Federation of Labour, and our other brothers Sebastian and everybody, my brother out there. We are very happy to have you here again. Precisely about 3 years ago, we had a similar issue. Now, as organized workers, the reason why we join unions is to improve our welfare. We all know that in this city, especially those in the cleaning industry, companies in the cleaning industry always pay minimum wage. And as long as you live in the city, you know how much you should earn in order to live. It has become very expensive, and the cost of living goes up year in, year out. Now, these workers, some of them have just come into this city and are trying to establish here. And the work that is easily accessible to them is cleaning. Now, some of them have been working for 1 year, 6 months, and they have now been laid off. What that actually does is, for us as union organizers, it takes back to zero everything that we have worked for. Because when we organize ourselves to join unions, we go in for the benefits. And that helps us to sustain ourselves in this very difficult situation in the city. And now, the work we have done in mobilizing, organizing, and bringing these people into the union and improving their welfare has all gone down to zero. I have said 3 years ago we had a similar incident here in the city. Now we're having it again. The only way we can stop this is for the McNeil government to step in and make sure that unionized workers, the work sites that have unionized workers, those sites, the contracts are never given to non-unionized workers.
That's right.
Because as long as they're doing that, it undermines our efforts, it undermines everything else that we do in this city to improve the welfare and lives of ordinary workers. And it is very important, it's very sad and pathetic that we see this coming again and again and again. If the politicians don't step in, we won't believe that they are serious about improving the welfare of the masses in this city. Now, money in the hands of workers is good for this economy. And how can you be interested in improving the economy when you undermine efforts that are meant to bring money into the hands of the workers? I think we should be in solidarity with the companies. I think the business community should be in solidarity with us, but because the money that comes to us goes straight to them. In this city, unless you are having $2,600 a month, you are still earning below your needs for subsistence here. Okay? So we are all in this together. The employer, the business community, the politicians, we are all in this together because we all want to make sure that this economy works and works for all of us. We thank you all for your attention. We thank you all for your solidarity. Thank you for coming again. And if it happens again, we will come again and again and again. We don't want non-unionized companies like Deep Clean, Imperial. They are not unionized. They are against unionization. They take measures. They stop us from going onto their site to organize workers. They are not for the improvement. They are not interested in improving the welfare of workers in this city. And anyone who is not interested in improving the welfare of workers in this city is not interested in putting money into the hands of the workers. And that cannot be something that is in the interest of the business community. We believe that this is good for them. We are not at war with the business community. We are not at war with the employer. We are at war to improve this city. Thank you, everybody.
You can see the bust of, so-called great Nova Scotians, people like Joe Howe, the people that they say founded this province and this city. But this city was founded upon the labor of people like this. It was people doing the essential work, the cleaning, the the basic work that keeps the city going every day. So the heroes of Founders Square are not people like Joe Howe. They're people like these workers here today. Many of them were immigrants starting out in this city, building this city up. We have to honor them. This sign says we are not disposable. You don't treat people like the garbage that you clean in a building. They are human beings. You don't just throw them out when it's the end of the day and you're like, oh, time to get rid of the garbage and the workers. You can't do that to people that have come to this country and to this city to build us up. It's not right. Shame on that. These people are not disposable. Their lives matter. Their jobs matter. We have to stand with them. A report recently came out that was reported on today in the Chronicle Herald about racism in Halifax. And essentially 100% of racialized people in Halifax have experienced racism if you look at the numbers. This is what racism looks like. It looks like black workers being kicked out of their minimum wage jobs that they are barely supporting themselves with in the first place, and then getting rid of them and telling them, well, find something else to do. That is a shame. That is racism in action. We cannot stand for that. And this is a province that depends on the Ivany report. We talk constantly about the importance of immigrants to this city, how much we need this labor coming in. We can't sustain ourselves without immigrants. And then we have immigrants coming here and sacrificing and doing the work that we need, that these buildings cannot keep running without. Nobody in these offices can survive without these workers that do the most essential work, the work that we need to have done and that we bring people in to do and then don't even respect them and give them dignity. It's disgusting. It's a shame. We stand with these workers. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for your courage in coming out here today and standing here and showing that your lives and jobs matter. We honor you. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you for being here. Next up, we have Lynn Jones. Make some noise.
Whoa! Thank you all for coming out, but most importantly, thank you to my sisters and brothers who are standing here. And we want you to know that we stand here in solidarity with what you're standing up for. How many times do I have to come out to support the will of the workers? I'm telling you, in this city, we have to learn that you just can't attack our people and do the kinds of things that you expect that you're going to do to them. I too know the plight of the people who are, sometimes we say, at the bottom of the income scale, at the bottom of our respect. I too come from a family of people who were in the janitorial field. My father had to support a family of over 10 children and try to make a living. So I know what we're dealing with here today. But have you even talked about what the results of this here draconian methods that the employer, that the Founders Square and its founders are doing? Have you talked about their families? Have you talked about how they're going to put food on their table? Have you talked about how they're going to look after their children? No, we haven't done that. I'm telling you that we stand in solidarity, but I also want you to know that an injury to one is an injury to all. And when you attack these workers, you're attacking us. And we are here to stand with you through thin, through thick, through anything that you throw up. I don't want to have to come down here as an older person in this community. How many times do I have to come out and stand literally on the streets to have our message heard? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And I'm going to tell you once and for all, keep your hands off our workers. Keep your hands off our people, because we are here in the fight and will continue in the fight. Thank you to Service Employees International Union for being there for the workers. And I just ask that you just consider all of this and continue the fight. Thank you.
Hi, I'm with Sue LeBlanc, the MLA for the North End of Dartmouth, and we're here on behalf of the NDP to say that our party is in unconditional support of the cleaners of Founders Square, who are being treated with such gross unfairness. And I want to say simply that we wouldn't have this kind of problem if we had a very simple law in Nova Scotia. A law that would say that if a company is unionized and that company loses a contract, then the union goes to the new company that got the contract, and the terms that union had negotiated for hiring and employment become the terms for hiring and employment of the new company that has got the contract. This is something that can be. This is something that can be done. Other places do it. This is the way they have this rule in Ontario. They call it successor rights. So we need successor rights here for the people of Nova Scotia. It's particularly important in the economy that we're living in now, where we know so many people's jobs are based on a precarious and a temporary and a casual basis. This is something that in our province we've got to have. We've got to have it. Omar spoke earlier about the minimum wage. We've got to have that along with a $15 minimum wage. We remember how a couple of months ago in Ontario they made the jump from $11.60 to $14, and we heard from employers how the sky was going to fall and it was going to be the end of the world. But that was 3 months ago, and now we know that employment in Ontario in the last 3 months since they did that has gone up. And I'll tell you something else, that employment in the sector that has got the most minimum wage workers in it, that is accommodations and food services. Employment has gone up since it went from $11.60 to $14.00 for the second consecutive month this year. So we need wages that people can live on, and we need in Nova Scotia successor rights. The sky won't fall if we have this. The world won't end. People's lives will be as they ought to be improved. So it's our privilege to be able to stand in solidarity and extend our party's unconditional support and our deep hope that everybody who's been affected by this fairness will be able to get their jobs back. Thank you very much.
Everyone, my name is Sebastian Lavelle. I'm a member of Solidarity Halifax. Oh, thank you, Omar. I'm just going to unfold this. I've been asked by the folks at Working While Black in Nova Scotia to deliver a statement, which I'm very happy to do. So Working While Black in Nova Scotia condemns Deep Down Cleaning Services and Armour Group Limited, who are not rehiring 7 black janitorial workers after the cleaning contract at Founders Squares changes hands. Only one employee, who is white, will be retaining his job. For 5 years, Working While Black has documented incidents of individual and systemic anti-black racism in Nova Scotian workplaces and brought together community members to discuss these issues. Many of the stories we feature have been shared with us anonymously, since those facing on-the-job racism fear reprisals from their employers or even their co-workers. To that end, we commend these workers for coming together and taking a public stand and filing a complaint at the Human Rights Commission. Racism, whether at work or elsewhere, is too often brushed off as something that is no longer a problem in today's world. People are accused of being too sensitive, as being unable to take a joke, or as imagining things. The reality is that racism is embedded into our economic system. Low-wage workers are disproportionately people of color who face multiple barriers to meaningful, stable employment. From changing a name or an address on a resume to fighting against being passed over for promotion, black workers have always had to raise their voices for fairness and equity at work. This current situation demonstrates yet again the subtle, insidious ways that the odds are stacked against black workers. And so I just want to say as well that Working While Black in Nova Scotia is a project of Solidarity Halifax, Ujama, and Quacha House Cafe. And I invite you all to check out the Working While Black NS website to see more about examples of anti-black racism in workplaces across Nova Scotia. Thank you very much, and solidarity for these workers.